Welcome back, everybody, to another awesome episode of Surviving Life's Pickles. I'm Scott Martin, your host, and today I am joined by not one, but two beautiful women. It is a wonderful day to be me. So, first of all, I have my wife, Hillary, has joined us from the other part of our studio. Hi, babe.
Hi.
And I have Adriana Sash. How are you?
Amazing. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. So before we kind of get into our introductions and what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to throw it to Hillary first. What are you grateful for today?
I am grateful today to see old friends and to reconnect. Adriana and I have been friends for a very long time, but it's been about 20 years since we've seen each other face to face. And I'm just so excited that she's here sharing your story with us and reconnecting again.
Hey, Adriana, what are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful infinitely for many things. Today, I am grateful that my kids are all healthy. I am grateful I was able to come here with you guys and open up and share awesomeness about all the wonderful topics we're going to go through. I'm also really grateful for how beautiful of a state we live in. So I was driving down to y'all and looking at the mountains and was like, I got to grow up here. So I'm really grateful for y'all's mountains. That's what keeps me here.
It's one of those things you don't appreciate until they're gone, because I didn't grow up here either. It's
Yes.
coming back. I appreciate them so much more now.
Yes, exactly. I'm from Texas, so there's a speed bump maybe. We have some of those.
Yeah.
So when I'm there, I don't even know where north is sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Absolutely.
my direction. So it's really comforting, and it makes it all of my days astonishing to have them there, starting my day and ending my day. So I am very grateful for the Utah mountains.
Well, good. That's wonderful. I have so much. I could spend the entire episode today on why I'm grateful, but just really quick, I am so eternally grateful for alternate medicine and how it has changed my life and our life. I was able to do another tune-up ketamine session yesterday with the family group over at Koru Wellness, and it was one of my very best, most intimate sessions I've ever done. I came out of it just almost feeling reborn, came out of it feeling, now I know exactly the path I have to take. I had an idea, but before then I just didn't quite know. And now I know exactly where I'm going, what I'm headed, what I'm supposed to do.
Oh, yes.
So that's been really big.
Clarity.
Yeah. Clarity's been, so I'm very grateful that we had found her almost a year ago, that I've been doing that, because it literally has changed my life.
I have a few friends that are doing the ketamine treatments, and it's made such a beautiful difference.
I mean, there's so much, and we'll have some episodes we're going to dive into it more, but I mean, the way it actually truly remaps your brain with the chemicals that it works with is phenomenal.
Yes. Yeah. How wonderful. Yeah.
So, well, everybody, really quick before we get into the episode, we have Surviving Life's Pickle swag coming your way. We have new hats and shirts and a few things. Addie, would you grab our pickle right there for us?
I'd love to.
So just everybody, we will have these on the website shortly. This is Peter, the emotional support pickle. We will also have Polly, the emotional support pickle. So watch for them on the website in the next few weeks. We'll have them there for everybody, so you can grab them, enjoy them, and have something when you're having trouble to know you're a big deal. So check out the website and watch for them coming soon. So just wanted to throw that out there to everybody. We're going to kind of get into this now. And Addie, you are a very interesting person. I've known you
thank you.
30 minutes, and I am very blessed to already know you, just with what you've already shared to us before we started. The biggest part is everybody, Addie is a 23-year-old veteran stripper.
Thank you.
Turned mental health kind of activist, really.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a good way to kind of tell? You've kind of
a good way. Yeah.
You've taken your life now and really taken what you've learned over those 23 years and applied it to help people.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. I was very blessed that I got to be in spaces that assisted with doing that.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's kind of dive in. And I know you and Hillary have known each other how long now?
We were in high school.
Yeah.
What's the math on that?
I want to say,
16?
yeah, at least 16, 17.
So we were 16 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. So quite a while.
We were babies.
Yeah.
That was like, I don't know, like 8 years ago or something. No.
Yeah. Yeah. We've known each other a long time.
So like 24, 25 years?
At least that.
Yeah, about 25 years. Yeah, because my oldest is 25.
Yeah. You
And
had
I
a
was
baby.
pregnant with her at 15 and I had her at 16.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so that's when we met. And I just kind of had to keep her. And so I made sure I checked in on her on socials and was making sure that she was doing well. And she did good.
Yeah.
I'm proud of her.
She's come a long way.
She really has.
So-
I'm super proud of her.
It's been a long journey. That's for sure. Lots of changes.
Yeah.
So Addie, let's talk about it. 3 years. What kind of led you into that line of work? Everybody always looks down on it. It is perceived as a very bad industry in so many different ways. And I would say, yes, there are probably a lot of bad things about it.
Agreed.
But some of the reasons that you go into it are good. It's kind of, I watched the show last night and they talked about good luck, bad luck. You have the good luck or you have the bad luck, but sometimes the bad luck is the good luck. He told the story about this kid who broke his leg. He was a farmer's kid, broke his leg, and they were coming around recruiting for World War II. And because he had a broken leg, he couldn't go. So his bad luck turned into good luck. And kind of your story kind of reminds me a little bit of that. What I've known so far is your bad luck, you tried to turn it into good.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit. I mean, how did you end up going down that road?
All right. Like I said, I got pregnant at 15 and that was in Texas. And then we had moved up here. My family has moved up to Utah and I had the baby at 16. I'm still doing regular high school. That's when I get to meet the new group, Hillary and everyone. They actually went to a different high school. So I got accepted and they accepted me and my baby. So they helped me raise the baby. And that was great and wonderful. And I did graduate high school on time. I had, my 2-year-old walked across stage with me. And then I went in and I got my CNA certification after that. And I was working at Target and my parents wanted me to learn how to do real life. So they started throwing more like life things that adults, transitioning children to adults should be taking over. However, I had an extra component of a child with me. And it was just working at Target was not
enough to pay the bills, not to take care of things.
Yeah, not enough. It was just not enough. It was great. Everything was wonderful. It just wasn't enough. So I had a friend that was working at Target. She quit one day and she came through my line. She's like, "Oh, I miss you, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "I miss you." I was like, "Where are you?" And she's like, "I got a new job." I was like, "What do you do?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm a stripper." I was like, "Really?" It's like, "Well, I dance. I'm a trained dancer. I've done classes. I can do all the things. Like, you think I could get a job?" She's like, "Well, just come audition. Let's check it out."
And you're 18 at this time?
At this time, I had just graduated high school, turned 18.
Okay.
Look, right? I got the little 2-year-old graduating with me.
Hey, you and me are the same. I had a 2-year-old
Did-
at 18 and I had a 1-year-old by that time. So I get you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's a huge accomplishment on its own. It's a whole nother world when you have littles going with you. It just feels an extra rewarding piece, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to take care of these little humans.
It gives you more meaning.
It does.
For sure.
It really does. And so then, I graduated high school and I was working at Target for 1 month. And then I went and auditioned. So turned 18 in May, graduated in June, and auditioned in July.
Was that here?
That was here in Salt Lake. It was.
Okay.
So I'm very fortunate to start here in Salt Lake. Salt Lake has
A lot more.
totally different set of rules.
Right.
The legalities are so
They're very protective.
very protective. For a dancer, great place to be, right? So there's no back rooms, there's no dances, touching the men. Everything is done on stage. That is it. And it's wonderful. It's very protected. Even we'll call them uniforms, must wear uniform. And so it makes it that extra layer of just we're protected and it's not so invasive. So I did that for about a year. and at that one specific club. And then I had transitioned over to some other clubs. I started to see like, oh, we can travel dance. Let's go do that.
There's
right?
more money in that, right?
There is more money.
Right.
It's more open though. It becomes a whole nother game, even down to the other dancers.
And they say the rules.
The rules are
fit.
different. No,
Almost.
almost. There are some that do. You start to learn like what to look for in clubs that okay, well, these ones are in city limits, so they're going to have a different set of rules. If they're outside county limits, they're going to have a different set of rules. So depending on the girl's willingness, she'll be like, okay, well, I would rather do the outside county clubs or the in-city limit ones. I'm an in-city limit girl. I like it inside the city limits where it's more protected. And I feel like even when I've seen issues arise in those places, I see just like the emergency help show up quicker, almost. It's almost like they can get to us quicker.
Yeah.
They kind of know the gist that they kind of got to be around, kind of on alert. I like that.
Yeah.
That's nice. So then I just traveled. I've always been in and out. I would go back to it. I would take a break. I go back to it. And it's so then really for the last 9 years, I was just solid dancing. That's when I got my divorce and I was just dancing because it was very therapeutic at that time for me.
Just kind of that release from everything else going on in your life, divorce and dealing with that personal stuff. It kind of gave you that out.
It did. It gave me that out. It gave me, and where it was safe. I do have a very sensual side to me. However, I am very protected too. I'm like, I also don't want you touching me. Right. And so that was a very good outlet for me. Also because I was a promiscuous, adventurous young person. And I was learning at that time. I thought one way and was programmed to think one way. And so I really ran with that and was like, oh, well, maybe I don't want to do that. So then I went really hard the other way and was like, well, that's not good either.
So you were able to catch yourself though. I mean, and for most people, they don't do it. They just continue down that other way.
Yeah. And what I've discovered is through my mental health journey of all of this was why I was that way. So I'm the oldest child. I'm also the colorful sheep in the family.
I like how you say colorful, not black.
I'm colorful. I love that. Thanks. Because it could be anything, right? I don't have to be a rainbow one. I could be whatever color, right? I'm a colorful sheep.
Oh.
And it's so that really led to me to be hyper independent, anxious avoidant. I learned that. These are all words that I didn't even know existed at the time. However, through my journey, these are components that I was able to be like, this fits with me. And then this piece fits with me. And then this piece. And then I was able to go back and be like, this makes sense why I did this. Okay, so let's take with that, whatever part that is, whether it was from the pregnancy and what I dealt with religion in my family and peers. And because I lost everybody through that, how Hillary came into my life, from everybody leaving, this wonderful group of kids befriended me. So I was able to be like, okay, so what can I take from that? And then reassess it now and not absorb it now. And then use it to a tool that I know, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but sometime in my life, universe puts me at the perfect place, at the perfect moment, with the perfect people to say the perfect things to them.
That is so beautiful.
That's why when you said like an advocate for mental health, I really believe that. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Because I always find myself, I'm in these awesome situations. Like, to me, they're awesome. Let me preface that. It's awesome because something happens and then I get to be there to assist.
I will agree with you because I look back on all the pain and everything, especially over literally this last year has been my biggest journey, but all the pain and everything happened before. And I would say each one of those experiences were amazing in its own way to deal with the pain. I didn't think of it during that time.
Yes.
But now looking back and working through some of that stuff, it was like, I'm glad I was there. I'm glad I was there with those people. I'm glad I got to learn from this now. During the moment, you don't want to be in it.
Yes.
Just like you're saying, it's an awesome thing now to take those experiences and grow from them.
Yes. Yes. And then I, with my whole soul, know that's what we're here to do. Have experience, learn from the experience. How do we assist others with their experience?
Right.
And then just make it that we're having this great adventure together,
I mean,
aka life.
yeah. I mean, it's taking that pain and turning it into the knowledge to share it with the other people. Hopefully that they don't have to experience such tragic things by learning through some of our experiences, but at some point, sometimes they have to go through those themselves to get to the place they need to get
Which
to.
was a great lesson to learn too, was grace. Learn to give somebody grace during their moments and not taking that away from them. Because as, an anxious avoidant, I want to take that away before you get anxious. I don't want you doing that. So then I'm double working. And so I completely agree with that.
No, so that's beautiful that's kind of what you've learned, and you're kind of going through this as well. So you said you were going through, you got your divorce, you were still stripping because that was kind of your release, that was your outlet, and you were making good money, so you're able to provide for the family, right?
Yep.
So where was kind of the turning point where that started to become, maybe I want to explore some other things? Where did that kind of start for you?
When I started to see the industry change, when it started to be more, how would I say this? It just seemed like there wasn't a camaraderie with everyone anymore, right? It was like a girls' team and the girls, and we were there for each other. And what I was noticing, what I feel like was maybe it's social media because there's so much competition with that and like looking good and your angles are good. And even we ourselves as women will compare ourselves more than any other person or any other woman. And so I just started to see that kind of leave the clubs. And it
was just kind of almost everyone for themselves type situation.
It really was. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to be represented as that's not what I'm here for. I'm very much on the girls' team. I'm also there for the men too. I get very protective of them. And so the new age of thinking of these girls, the way that they treat them, the way that they see them, their perspective of them, how they use them. I'm just not willing to play that game.
Well, and before we all three of us were chatting before we got on, you were kind of saying how a lot of those men back during that time before it started changing were almost kind of family. Like they would come in, you expected them, you would see them on Christmas, you would spend birthdays with them. You would kind of be their person because they didn't have anybody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am very adamant about working day shift because of that. Because our day shifts are usually elderly men that come in because they are retired or they don't have much going on. They lost their spouse. Some of them aren't even married. A lot of them that I know, they just indulged so much into their careers that it wasn't even a thing for them. And it just felt so much easier for them to come to us. So they would say it all the time. They would be like, oh, we love how you are with us. We love that after work, I can just come here and be like, hey, how are you, Sass? Like, how was your day? And then I'm very much like, I know exactly their birthday. I know what they drive. I know their schedule so well that if I don't see them in such an amount of time, we're like on what were those called? Those family tree lists where you call each other and make sure everybody's okay.
Check in with each other.
Let's check in on our tribe. Like, hey, has so-and-so checked in on someone? And unfortunately, sometimes when we do get so close to them, we are the ones who are there to find them, when they have decided to graduate this life, and we are the ones that put those services together. And we are the ones that really are their part of their lives, and they appreciate that. And we appreciate that because it is genuine. It's a very genuine, unconditional love.
That right there, what you just described is something I would say 95% of the population don't see.
I agree.
With the industry. And again, like you say, it's completely changed now, but
yeah,
back when you were full time,
right.
That's how it was.
It's exactly how it was. It's really fun because the guys, I would say they're more regulars of their home bars. What happens though is they start to have these relationships with specific girls. And then those girls will get together and be like, okay, who's doing Christmas for so-and-so and who's got so-and-so's birthday and who's got, and that was really fun for us. We're like, making sure these are men. They're They're sweet. I love them, but sometimes they have daughters they need to go buy birthday presents for, and we just kind of do a better job at shopping. And so we'll do the birthday presents for them. We decorate the whole bag and we make it, very girly, and we send them off on their way. And they really appreciate that. And when it becomes that, it doesn't become about the money, because honestly, I spent a lot of money on keeping birthday cards in my bag.
You spent the money they were paying you back on them.
Exactly. We take them bowling for their birthday. We pay for that. We want to show them that it's not about the money. It's about the connection. It's about genuine connection. It's about being part of a tribe. It's about being a part of something that can be good. It also can be the other way. I have seen that, unfortunately. It does happen. However, when I do see those situations, what I have seen is that they are chosen situations. At some point, those individuals had to make a choice.
Be there in that, yeah.
And to do it that way. Because we all do. I remember when I first started and the vets were coming to me and they were like, you need to sit down with yourself and decide at what point you're good at. And then you stick with that line. When you put that line down, you stick with that. Okay, you got to know who you are, know what you can live with, and you stick with that. And that was huge for me. I believe that really catered a nice perimeter for me to be like, okay, this is how I'm going to navigate this situation. Because so I graduated, I get my CNA, but it just wasn't cutting, the bills and everything I needed to do. So if I'm going to go do this, what's the best case scenario? How can I do this so it's a win-win for everyone?
Well, and setting that up probably has helped you get to the point you are now, because that helped mold the person that gave you your values, your core presence of you at that time.
It did. It really did. I tell people, well, I grew up in the bars. So now I don't go hang out at bars. I don't drink. I've never been a big drinker. I've been in a lot of bars, spent a lot of time in there, but it was never a thing for me. It's interesting
how that changes.
It changes.
Well, because you're in them all the time. And I think Hillary's the same way. She was never a big drinker ever.
Yeah, I remember.
And it's because you both worked in bars. I mean, different aspects. But I think that was a big reason, is because you would see it, right?
We're just in it. It's hard. It feels like work, right?
It does.
When you're around alcohol, you're dealing with, because you are dealing with each other. You're dealing with drunken problems, or you're dealing, even if it's not a problem, let's say it's just drunken loudness.
Yeah.
For somebody to be like, let's go hang out at a bar, like, you want me to go to work?
You don't want to be there, right?
I don't want to go to work. Do you want to go to work? So it's a very interesting dynamic to be raised in the bars that way. And then if I'm going to be here and being raised by it, how can I do that to integrate it into my life, to make it good, to make it positive? And so that's when I found like I could really do this if my intention from the beginning is good and pure. That's where it all starts, from even before we even walk in that bar. Like, why are we going in there? What are we doing it for? Who are we? Who are you when you step into that club? So that's been a very assisting component for me that I have shared with every single one of the new, we call them baby strippers, the baby strippers that come through, the new ones that come through, because I feel like that really does set a tone for how you do it for the rest of your life. Because that is the thing, is you can't retire out. You just can't, because the truth about it is we know we can always go somewhere in the world and go dance and make money on a stage. So it is always open.
It's going to be that part of you, always.
Always, yeah. It's always, it's always just there. So I think it's cute when people are like, I retired out. I'm like, good for you. But then sometimes they come back and they're like, I didn't retire. It's like, right, because you can always go to a bar and work. You can always walk in.
So
it's ironic because I actually know a handful of people in recovery that still work at bars. They don't drink. They've been sober for several years, yet they still go and work in that industry.
They still, they enjoy it. They make friendships with them. I know a lot of bartenders that are part of the rooms, and they just do well with them. And they do well with them. That's what I've noticed, because they have the knowledge.
They understand them.
They understand them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I mean, there is the other side that, I mean, for sure, where you have the ones that go back and they can't handle it. And they just, I mean, that's always going to be part of it. But the ones who are strong, the ones who truly find themselves and recover, are the ones that are able to handle it and actually help the other people.
I agree. I agree. They're there, right? I almost see them like as a passing angel, earth angels. I really believe we have earth angels here. I actually believe we are all earth angels. It's where we set our tone is if we're in that earth angel frequency or
Right.
not, right?
Well, and you say that, I think every one of us go through that part of our life, some of us a lot longer. And let's take a few people: Buddha, Jesus. I always forget Mother Teresa. But okay,
yes.
these people and leaders of different churches, the popes, and the president of the LDS Church, these people, they all vibrate at a different level, allowing messages to come through them. Again, I think everybody has their point in their life when they are receiving these messages, but there's these special people on the earth that vibrate their entire life to share those messages. So those are the amazing people that have walked this earth. Those are the people we look up to and want to be like. But we can
hone into that frequency.
We can. I've noticed I've been way more open, especially in the last 6 months. I've been able to feel things, hear things, and be able to be present when things happen, which has been amazing. And I just finished reading a book. The guy's name's Benny Tolman, and you would love this book. It's called The Light After Death. And hopefully one day we'll have him on the show. But he died for 47 minutes here in Utah. He was 21, I believe, is when it happened. And he talks about his whole journey during that 47 minutes of what happened. And that now when he came back, they revived him. He came back to life. I don't want to ruin the whole story, but he wanted to get back to that place, that feeling, that true vibration of true love is how he describes it. And so he finds different ways of meditation and different things to feel that vibration. And now he's so open, like he goes throughout his daily life and he is always inspired to do something, go meet somebody, tell somebody a story, go say hi to somebody. And he talks about now that he's open and receives those things, that's his life now.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we all need to strive.
Yeah.
It's just be open for that.
Is to feel that frequency, to feel that home, that love frequency.
I think part of it is, we talked about this yesterday in my ketamine session. It is slowing the hell down.
Yes, it is.
I mean, stop. We live in such a go, 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 go world, especially here in the U.S. It's just nonstop. We live in the Amazon world.
Which means we're living in the future.
Yeah.
Our brains are in the future. What's next? What's going on? Where do I go to?
Why is my package not here? I ordered it 2 minutes ago. Why is it not here?
Right. What anxiety is worrying about the future.
Right.
It takes you right out of the present. And when you're out of the present, then you're not in the frequency. Now you're subconscious. And so it's taking your frequency where it wants to, right? Because we're not consciously aware of how we're vibrating at that frequency.
Well, and that leads into really what you've been doing for the last couple of years. Right?
Yes.
I'd like to talk about that. So you're a Reiki master now.
I am.
You've also dove into the entire world of crystals and the energy the crystals bring off as well. How is that? I mean, tell me the process. I'm completely unfamiliar with the process of becoming a Reiki master. What does that incur? What does that take?
Going to another Reiki master, it's almost like, it's just like sessions, like a class. You take a training class. I had a whole manual. We go through all of that. We learn about the body. We learn about the physical body, and then our etheric body, which is just right on the outside. People would call it your aura, but it's scientifically your etheric body. And sorry, that was falling. I feel like my hair is moving on us.
You're good.
There we go. And so we did all the trainings. It's 3 classes, and then you do the Reiki master class. And at that point, that's when I can teach others and certify other people. And really, I do that mostly because what I found out about it is everybody kept saying it's the healing of the hands. And my love language is physical touch. So I'm always touching people. Even if you're a stranger next to me, I'm very comforting that way to people, because I want them to have that motherly love of like, you're okay. You're seen. You're here and present right now in the moment, and you're okay. And just a mere little touch does that for so many people. So then when I found out that Reiki works off of touch, I was like, oh, this is my thing. Let's do this.
So what does a Reiki session involve? If somebody was going to come to you and they said, I want a Reiki session, what does that look like?
It almost looks like a massage.
Okay.
Right. So I have a massage table. You come over and you come and lay down on the table. And then we have meridians, which is like pathways. Almost think of like your actual blood veins. That's your physical part. Your spiritual etheric part would be meridians.
Okay.
So they're highways of energy going through the body. Right. So
it's that electricity that we talk
the
about.
electricity. Exactly. Exactly. There's that whole science of grounding and putting your feet on the ground and,
Right.
and releasing from there. And so that is kind of part of what play into Reiki. I tell people after we do our session, make sure you go outside and get your feet on the ground. We just moved everything in your body, but that's
Now you've got to get that
really
full connection.
just like electricity, right?
Right.
Your current in, current out, current in, current out. And so that's really what I'm doing is just I'm allowing for energy to be moved. And then the person gets to accept that or not. Because we also don't get to decide another person's story. We don't get to decide what they are going through and what they're feeling. And again, that's where grace comes in. Maybe they do get to go through or hold on to what they need to for now. That is not a permanent solution. But go through it and then give a person grace and then get back to it.
So really you're kind of
Like a conduit.
a conduit. And I mean, you're saying a lot of things that my therapist talks about. Like, again, she can't tell me what to do. She gives me advice. She gives me guidance. And you're kind of guiding the energy that
You're
you
right.
see.
Exactly.
And it's their choice if they want to accept the
Exactly.
path you have guided it down.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. And so and that's working with the etheric body.
I'm interested. I think we need to do a Reiki session. Hill, what do you say?
I think so. I think it would
love
be
to.
amazing. Addie, it fits you so well. Even knowing you back then, you always had this amazing motherly aura about you that I remember. And you were always just so kind and taking care of everybody around you. And I think the Reiki is such a fitting thing for you because you always had this wonderful glowing aura about you.
Like I say, we actually went to a full moon ceremony. What was it, a month ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
about
because
that.
we're ready for a new one
Yeah.
now.
Well, we did it in December is when we did it.
Okay.
And it was something I invited my two oldest girls. They are 25 and 24 came with us. And we've been really working on a relationship. So we were able to, it was us and then there's one other person. And then it was our ceremony leader, and she was amazing. And what an experience that was to feel all of our energy in that room flowing together. Afterwards, we really didn't know what to say. Like we kind of just, we could feel it. Like we didn't have to say it. And even afterwards, both of them, you say, hey, that was really good, Dad. Thank you. And I think that was such a cool experience. We went into it and we get there and it's all set up and all the stuff. And I look at the girls and I'm like, what the hell did I get us into? I had no idea. I had one of my friends, she was the one doing the sound bath during the ceremony. And so she had said, hey, come do that. I'm like, okay, let's go try it. Why not? And it was an amazing experience.
I love that. I'm glad you were open to that. And that's really all it takes is just being open to a new experience.
Yeah.
Because I would say 98% of us, it's either we're running away from fear or running to fear.
Yeah, we don't want to deal with it.
We don't. And we'll do anything we can to run from that because our brain goes into survival mode.
Right. It's that flight or flight.
Exactly.
So as you've been doing the Reiki over the last little while,
Yes.
and exploring some more of the crystal energy, have you had one experience that stands out above all the rest with somebody? Or are they all mutual?
They're all so
really
good is what it is. I have a great memory. They're all so good. It's just, like I said, I get to be at really cool, interesting places. So I have people that come to me and do it like that. But my fun ones, that the whole reason why I do what I do is because when I'm out doing my normal day and something happens, that's when I feel like I really get to choose into my earth angel moment, right? And there was an incident that we were on the freeway. We were driving on the freeway. I'm a passenger. My friend's driving. And as we're getting off the off-ramp, we pass a vehicle. We pass a white SUV. And I'm looking at it and I see a young teenage boy texting. And I was like, oh, this isn't good. This isn't good. And as we pass him, in front of him is a gentleman riding a motorcycle.
So the teenage boy was driving?
He was driving and texting,
Yeah.
right? His head's down while he's driving. And I'm just like, this is not going to be good. And then we pass him, and that's when I see the motorcyclist. He's in front of him. And I'm like, okay, so far so good. And we pass him, and I, for whatever reason, looked in my rear view mirror. And at that moment, I had seen that white SUV clip the motorcyclist, right? And for the rider, he did have a helmet. He had all his leather gear on. He had gloves on and his boots. And so super grateful for that. And we were coming off of the off ramp. And so we were slowing down from I-15 speed. However, we were still probably going like 40, 45 at this point. And I just kind of knew that I would be okay. That if I used my Reiki tools on myself, that I could get to him and use them on him. And so again, it's a suggestion, right? So I see it all happen. I get if you have to cut this part out, because what I end up doing is not recommended at all, not allowed. But I just was so inspired by my own angel frequency that I had a knowing that I would be okay. And I jumped out. When I jumped out, I asked the angels, I said, you carry my wings so I can go carry his wings. And so as I did, I just knew you keep your feet moving so fast that you keep up with the speed. You keep up with the car. So I just went super fast, right? I just
jumped out of the car.
I jump out of the car and I'm running with the speed of the car. It was incredible. I felt like it didn't even feel like I was running. It just felt like one smooth motion that I was gliding at this point, right? My friend's freaking out. She's having a heart attack. And so I can slow myself down. But what happens is because I'm jumped out, he's off his bike. That's what happened. He's off his bike. He's sliding down the runway, right? And these cars are coming. Like all of these cars are coming. And so I, for whatever reason, was like, just put my hand up and everybody sees a person in the road, they're going to stop.
You would hope.
Right. And so they did. I feel like everybody was kind of stopped because they were like, this girl just jumped out of a car, and their faces, and everybody's like, what is happening? I slow down my speed. I'm fine. Everything works out great. I slow down. I go run to the man. I check on him. I asked him, I was like, hey, are you open to just me releasing whatever energy block this would happen right now? He was like, yeah, sure, whatever. He had no idea what I was talking about, but he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I just gracefully, quickly went right over his meridians, cleared it all out. And he himself was just like, honestly, I'm fine. I don't really feel anything. He's like, I just feel like a whole bunch of angels were around. And I was like, that's interesting. Good for you. And if you're okay, I'm out of here.
And he was okay.
He was okay.
Maybe a few bumps and bruises.
Nope.
Nothing.
Not even.
Wow.
He was completely fine. Yeah. Not a scratch, he wasn't even jarred. Sometimes you come out of like an accident or something, you're kind of like, disoriented.
Motorcycle before. So yeah.
Okay.
You definitely, you come out of it. You're like, what just happened?
What just happened? Where am I? And he himself he was in such a state. He was like, I just felt like there was just angels everywhere. I was like, good. Great.
Maybe you open the veil to it a little bit more.
Maybe, but even if it's a placebo effect, he's okay, right? Even if it's that, let's just say, even if it's just that, it's still working. And as long as it works for people, and as long as they're feeling good and feeling healthy and feel like somebody's there, then I feel like that's really how we're going to get to this true unconditional love for humanity.
Definitely showed that because you were in tune. You were able to notice and like something's going to happen. I mean, you kind of see that as it's happening in slow motion. It was slow motion. It's the easy way to describe it.
Exactly how it
But then you knew that you were going to be okay. You jump out and
Mhm.
you run to the guy and to make sure he's protected at that moment. And that's just
Yeah, it's
amazing.
moments like that, you know.
It-
Or there was, oh, girl, that one was fun. I came home, my apartment. It's me and my daughter who live together. And so I don't have visitors very much. I keep our home pretty safe. And so I don't have people knocking. I come home from work. I greet my daughter. Hey, baby, we're having a great time. And there's a knock on my door. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I go check. Maybe it's the church because that's about
Missionaries come over,
the
not
missionaries coming over. And so I'm like, oh, maybe it's just them, which is fine. So I went to answer the door and I don't see anybody. I'm kinda like, what is going on? And I really open the door at this point, and it's a little girl, and she's 12. It was winter. This was probably 2 years ago. So it's in the middle of winter, and she's wearing a little tank top, no shoes. She's crying, can't breathe. And I'm like, hey, what's going, like, are you okay? And she's just like, I gotta hide. I gotta hide. And I was like, all right. So I bring her in my house. We lock the door. My daughter comes over. Now, I've also attuned my daughter. She is a Reiki master as well. And so it's really interesting when we have situations that come up in our lives, when there's a child involved, I bring mine. And so then I can go talk with the parents and we can come up with a game plan and I can get the information of what's going on. And then my daughter has this really cool piece that she can go and relate with these kids. And these kids immediately and instantly trust her.
How old is she?
She's now 18. At the time, she was 16 when it happened. And the little girl's 12. So she comes over. We find out she's a neighbor. We live in an apartment complex. She's a neighbor. And her mother had taken a belt buckle to her. If I was to imagine what had happened, I think she would just took one end of it and then let the belt buckle part be the other end.
Okay.
And so I'm cleaning her up and we're trying to figure out what's going on. So what ends up happening that night is I take her to her grandmother that she hasn't seen in 5 years because the mom disappeared. And there's a little boy back at the house. We call the cops. We end up calling the cops and the cops take the kids out. They have nowhere to go. They end up going to the Christmas box, I believe is that what it's called?
Christmas box, Richard
Yeah.
Paul Evans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love them. They did so great. So the kids ended up going up there and I still kept in touch with them. Now, the little girl she had like a burner phone that her mom didn't know about that she was keeping to keep in contact with one of her aunts. And so she had given me that number. And so I was able to keep in track with her of what's going on with courts. And I'm trying to get approved to be a foster parent so I can get them out, like do what I can. And so what ends up happening is the mother goes to jail. The kids stay in the Christmas box for like 2 weeks. They go to an aunt. They go to the aunts for about a month. The mom, what ends up happening is they get her into some classes and stuff. And so the little girl ends up going back home. And the mom's being monitored, the girl and the boy, both of the kids. They do stay together the whole time. Everything is, is okay with the kids at this point because she's safe. The mother never touched the little boy, but what we had found out was that she was severely abusing the little girl. And so since this has all started, I told her, I was like, hey, I have a really cool thing about me. My phone number ends in 3333 for a reason. I chose that number because I want to be able to, first, it was my 4 children when they were little. You memorize mom's number.
You can get a hold of you easy.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it was like friends that needed help, and then it's turned into friends that were calling from jail. And I was like, that is not going to happen, my guy. And so then I've just kept it. I've had it for 20 years now. And so I gave her that number and I told her I have a trick. If you have an emergency, you need to call me twice immediately. You call me once, let me see it. Call me twice. I know it's an emergency. And so when she came over the first time and she had all that done, her head felt like hamburger. When I put my hand up in her hair, it felt like just the whole side. It was just hamburger. It was so intense. And so I had done it then too with her and asked her, it was like, hey, I know you don't know what Reiki is and it's going to be a lot, but I just need to know if you accept that I'm just going to clear the meridians and you can accept it or not. It's up to you. And it's literally like using your imagination. You just get to close your eyes and you just say, yes, I accept it. Or you can say, no, I don't accept it. But that is for you to decide. And I really believe that it was that moment for her that really bonded her to me, to where she feels safe with me. And I get phone calls. The mother has now behaved. So now I've checked in. Okay, so that all happened.
Okay.
And then I end up meeting the mom, right? Because she keeps calling me to come pick her up. And at this point, I'm like, this is going to be turned into like kidnapping or something, right? Because it's somebody else's child and the mom doesn't know where she's at. So, and I don't want to do that. I want to do this to where it's a win-win. I want your mom to feel like she can trust me. So let me meet her. She's like, oh, she doesn't like you. It's like, of course she doesn't. She hasn't met me though.
Yeah.
So,
She doesn't like the thought of you.
she really doesn't like me. I put her in jail,
Oh, okay.
basically,
Okay.
because I call the cops.
Yeah.
Right. And she just knows I'm a neighbor lady.
Okay.
Right. And that's all she knows of me. And it's funny. I use my name Addie for little kids. It's very relatable for them. It's my childhood name. It's why Hillary calls me Addie. It's why you call me Addie. And I'm very honored. Those are my like really close people to me. I feel like I can be my authentic self. And so the kids like that. And so I had her call me Addie. And she was like, hey, Addie, like my mom, she kind of doesn't want to. I was like, tell her it will be short and brief. And at any moment, if she's uncomfortable, I will walk out. And she said, okay. So we set this up. I go over to her house, and it's interesting because when I walk in, she's got like crystals on the wall, and she's got like these little modalities. I could tell where, she's trying to burn sage, and she had little angels around. And I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. And I get it. A lot of us, we become this way because we go through life the way that we do. So, I bring a book. And it's a children's book. It's my favorite book. I gift it to everyone. I'm going to bring you guys I buy them in bulk because I gift them so much. It's what is it called? The Little Soul in the Sun. And it's about forgiveness. Okay. So everybody's a soul. It's before you come to earth. And one soul asks God, says, hey, I want to learn forgiveness on earth. And he says, okay, great. You're going to learn that. So who's willing to teach this person that? And so another soul comes up and he says, hey, guess what? I'm willing to do that for you because I love you. But I need to tell you what's going to happen. We don't get to plan how I do this. But I do know that I'm going to choose at some point to make sure that I lower my frequency and forget who I truly am and do something to you so you can learn to forgive me. But if I'm going to teach you how to forgive me, I'm going to ask you that when I do that, you remember who I am and you bring me back to the frequency that I was. So it's an exchange between the two souls, right? Of forgiveness. And so I gifted her that so that she knew that she could have a way to forgive herself, her daughter for whatever she's whatever she's upset about with her daughter, and even me. And also know that maybe we didn't have an actual discussion about this part in peace, but for her to know that I forgave her, that there was no judgment on my end. I will never understand touching and hurting a child like that. I don't get that. I do understand being stressed out. I do understand that sometimes there's moments we do that is out of our character, and maybe we get to learn what the true meaning of forgiveness is. And so it was so interesting because from that one moment of doing Reiki with this little stranger that I don't know, that it had led into this life cool friendship now with this mom and the son. So now I can go pick up the kids. We go on ice cream dates. The mom gets a break. She never got a break. She doesn't have help. She is Latina, and so work is for her is challenging. And so it's been fun that now I get to be like all of their friends. And that's what I told her. I said, look, I'm here to be all of your friends. I'm not against you and friends with her. I'm here to do whatever it is it's going to take to assist all of us.
You've made some pretty strong connections
I did.
spiritually, physically, emotionally because of the Reiki.
Yeah, exactly. And I was already doing this kind of stuff, right? Just naturally, right? Like Hillary was going through high school. I was always that way with everyone. It's just now I had the way I see it is a very scientifical way to do
Now
it.
you were kind of trained in the stuff you were already feeling when you were younger.
Exactly. Where I was doing it very intuitive. Now I can have words to assist other people to relate to it.
It's very intentional now, not just intuitive.
Very intentional. Yes.
Well, I could just feel the emotion and that situation just as you were just telling it. That is what we're here for,
It is.
is that type of connection. And
That's what I'm here for.
I would imagine that if you died today, which we don't want to happen, but if you did, you would be extremely gratified with everything you've done.
So I have passed before. I've been in a car accident, and there was a moment where I knew I got to choose, and I could choose to go, or I could choose to stay. And the truth is I chose to go.
And you got forced to stay.
I chose back in to stay.
Okay.
That was the cool part. When it was in that moment I learned it really is our choice. That we do choose to go or we do choose to stay. There's a moment that happens when we are separated from our physical body where it is so peaceful that you kind of get this like, okay, so without all the pain, without all the other perspectives, and without all of the junk coming in, you get to a space where, okay, do I choose to go? Do I choose to stay? For me, I was complete. I looked at my life and was like, wow, I lived a kick-ass life. That was amazing. Like I did amazing things. Even the things that people would say weren't amazing. But to me, they were amazing because something else happened from it, or I met someone, so it was just incredible to me. And I was like, I'm going to go. I'm good. And then I heard mom, right? I was like, Mom. And I turn around and I'm like, oh, I'm being called. I'm a mom. No. And it was in my daughter's voice. It was my youngest daughter who was still living at home with me. And I knew in that moment, I said, no, I'm not complete. I'm not complete as Adriana yet. I get to go and complete as a mother, and then I'll choose out. So it was cool because I did choose out, but then I got to choose back in. There was nobody saying like, oh, you don't get to do that. This is what's happening. We've decided as a jury. We've decided. Like, no, there was none of that. It was really my choice. And so that was interesting that I also chose that when I come back in, when I choose to like enter into my body, whatever happens from this moment forward, I have chosen. And I am here. I'm grateful for it. I'm here for it. And I know that because I chose this, there's a reason I get to do this in this moment. So every moment for me has really been a present moment for me from that point.
And how long ago was that?
So I always lose a year because of that. Because of that car accident, there was a year. I want to say it was 12.
Okay. So
maybe 13.
Almost 10 years, a little over 10
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So after that happened, you chose to come back,
I did.
but now you've chose that I'm going to use this time because I'm here now to really help, really be here to guide, to whatever, just I'm here as a frequency. I'm here as a being. Tell me where to go. Is that kind of?
That's exactly it. In the morning, that's exactly what I say. Universe, take me to the places that I get to be with the perfect people at the perfect time, saying the perfect things.
It's beautiful.
And I actually give myself 2 hours of my day of scheduling so that I can do those kind of situations. I tell the universe, I said, today you get 2 hours of my day. And it can be broken up in 15 minutes or 30 minutes or, an hour and a half, whatever it is. But I have scheduled my physical day to assist these situations that come up for me, because I really have made an energy exchange agreement with universe, God, whatever people want to use for that word as a higher order.
So does that happen throughout your normal day? You just have a feeling, hey, you know what? I need to stop and see this person that maybe you just drove by. Is it that type of,
Daily, multiple times a day.
and I've told this experience on another episode, but I want to share just really briefly with you. So I met a homeless guy
Mhm.
a couple weeks ago. How many times do we walk by them?
Oh.
I mean, as a human race, we all just walk by them. We don't want to deal with them. They're struggling. We don't want to go in that. But it's like I walked by him. I was walking into the Maverick, and literally it felt like I ran into the damn glass door, and it was open, and I got stopped and got told, you go back around and talk to him. So I was able to, and what an amazing experience that was for me, to be blessed to walk into that energy
Yeah.
that stopped me and says, go over and meet this guy. And his name was Raymond.
Oh.
And I was able to say, everybody loves Raymond. And I just made a joke of it. It was such a good show, but everybody loves Raymond. But what an amazing experience to be open.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you what, if that happened to me a year ago, I would have walked through that door and I wouldn't have been able to feel it.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. So
yeah, I agree. And who knows, that one moment of healing for him, what that did for him, just that one moment really changes someone's path.
And I hope so. I mean, that's all I can hope for, is that
Smiled, you did.
that smile. And
If
you know what?
Smiled, you did.
And I go to a men's support group. I'm a support leader for a men's support group called I Love You, Bro. It's
Wonderful.
75% of the guys who attend our weekly meetings come for one reason. They want a hug from a dude. It's grown. Like, it started in the 40%. And now it is up above 70. It was like 74, 75% 2 weeks ago of the guys. We have a survey they fill out, and that's how we get the data. And they come just to get a hug because they're missing that physical connection. So I was able to give Raymond a hug that day, and I could just tell it had been a very long time since he had a human connection like that. And it blessed me just immensely. I mean, I called Hillary immediately afterwards, and I was just emotional. Like, I had an appointment with a customer literally 5 minutes down the road, and I'm like, I can't go in. I am bawling like a baby. I can't go into this appointment. But it just blessed me throughout the rest of the day. And I mean, and these following weeks, it's been amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing, the gift of pause.
Yeah.
When we pause and we really listen, like, we're being called over here or over there, or it's
well, and that's what I was telling you, Vinny's book.
Yeah.
When you read it, he talks about that after his experience. Like, he's so open to that pause, and it's amazing.
The pause is right. That's exactly, you get this pause where you're like, I'm in a peaceful state. This is where I will find clarity. Genuine clarity.
Right. Not pushed on you, not somebody else's intentions, true intentions that need to be done.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's I'm very blessed.
No, and honestly, we have been super blessed to have you here today. This has been
Thank you.
Amazing. Like, we could spend hours. I could spend hours here talking with you about all this wonderful things.
What part we get to talk about?
I mean, you have been through so much, and I would imagine, and we didn't go into any of the really bad stuff, because I mean, in that industry, I know there was a lot of bad things that happened to you.
It's there.
But you've chose to turn those into good things. You've chose to take that information, take those experiences, and turn them around to help other women and to help men. I mean, I know you were saying you really help men on that level because you connect with them.
I do.
And on one, that connects better with women. I always have. I've always struggled connecting with men until recently, and actually becoming a support group leader and learned how to connect with men. So I understand where you're coming from, because I can feel it. Like, we connected the minute you walked in the door.
I was like, I love him instantly. That's a great match. Yes, Hillary, you did great.
So I just want to say, this has been amazing. And I would imagine there are a lot of people out here that want to learn more, want to maybe reach out and have a Reiki session with you. So we'll make sure that everybody has our email on the bottom of the website. And if they want to get in touch with you, we'll have them email us. And so then we can connect you. Because I know we don't want to give your phone number out to the world.
Please don't. I've worked very hard not to do that.
Right. So if anybody does want to have more conversations with Addie or Sass, as she's known, reach out to us. We can connect you guys. If you want to do a Reiki session, if you want to have a crystal healing session,
Yeah, would love to.
does all these things.
I come to houses. I'll clear your house or offices, bedrooms. I've done like
Anything.
children's bedrooms, right?
Well, and the other thing we didn't touch on, I just want to give you credit. She runs a golf caddy service as well.
I do. Thank you.
So what does that entail really quick? And how do the people sign up if they wanted to have your caddy service help them on the golf course?
Awesome. It's really simple. Just go to the website. It's gottcaddy.com. It's CADDY. And you just go on there. You can pick your caddy. It also tells the level of their caddy service, like if they're an intermediate or a beginner or an expert. And then you'll click your actual caddy. On there, you will see the schedule. And then you pick your day of the availability of your caddy. And then you pick your course. That will pop up for you. You pick your course, and then you pick your tee time, and then your caddy shows up.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of
Thank you.
fun. And I know there's a lot of guys that listen to this and they all golf. So
Oh, I love that.
I hope
Yeah.
that they reach out to you for that. So
Too.
we will post that information on the
Thank
bottom
you.
of the podcast as well. So
Awesome.
before we go, we're going to switch the script here.
Okay.
You have a moment. I want you to go ahead and ask whatever question you have for Hillary.
Okay.
And then after she's answered, you have the same option with me.
Okay. Fun.
Whatever you want. This is your time now. You're the host.
I love this part. Because I have lived such a colorful past, I always love asking my close friends this. If I was to pass away today, how would you remember me? How would you remember our time together at that time? Right? Like you've watched me grow through socials, but when we were together, how did I show up for you?
Wow, that is an amazing question. I love it. I kind of expressed earlier that you always had this motherly aura and always made sure that your friends were taken care of. And that is something that I will never, ever forget. You were always so kind and so sweet. And I never, ever heard anybody say a bad thing about you. And you have always been somebody that I've always remembered. As this bright light. And
That's right, because I really did not think Hillary would remember me when I texted her about this. I was like,
No,
oh my gosh, I hope
couldn't
she
forget
remembers
you.
me.
Absolutely not. Just because you were always such a bright light and so happy and smiling and kind to everybody. That is something that I will never forget.
I show up for people, right? I want to make sure I was there for them. I don't think a lot of us even check in our own feedback. How often, how was I to you then? Was I good to you? And if I wasn't, what can I do of any of those moments where you were kind of held on to? Let me tell you my perspective, because that's really when people do not connect. It was a perspective when I could have had a different idea of something. So I like to check in with my old friends of was I good to you when I was unconscious in my decisions?
Fair enough.
Well, and we definitely have a darker past in senses of things that we did together and whatnot.
Right.
But I still don't ever remember a bad thought or a negative thought about you. And I don't remember anybody ever being resentful. I was never, I don't remember anything other than positive.
Yeah, I feel the same about Hillary. We came from a colorful path. And because of that, sometimes we have moments that were not our best. And I really, really have always loved you, Hillary. And seeing you as such a wonderful, wonderful part of my life. So thank you for being that very, you just have that core group of tribe that's with you. They're solid. I know I could always be my authentic self. She's seen me in some situations, right? And I know she's still going to love me. It's still that unconditional. She's solid. You're very solid ground.
I would say the same about you as well.
Thank you. I love you. Thank you.
I love you.
Oh, that got me. I was trying not to do that so we could do this. Did you start this men's group?
I did not.
You did not. How did you get into it?
So, long story short, some wonderful people. And I don't know if you know who Frankie and Jess are. They've been on the radio here for 25 plus years. They have their own podcast now.
Okay.
They have helped me heal so much through what they've shared. They introduced me to my therapist because they had her on the show. They introduced me to ketamine therapy because they talked about it on the show. They introduced me to this group. It was brand new. They had the founder on the group, Joe, and he was on there, told the story about what happened. He saved a kid on a overpass from suicide, stopped in the middle of the road because he had that wall he hit.
Earth Angel.
I have to stop. So he got out and helped the kid. And the only thing that he could say, the only words, nothing else come to him was, I love you, bro. I love you. And he said it over and over and over to this guy. He turned around in tears, came down. And that moment, the I Love You, Bro project was started because he reached out for the next couple of weeks to find help for this guy and was able to find that there's nothing out there for men. The only thing out there was 988. There's no support groups. There's nothing. So we are actually the only men's support group in the nation that is backed by NAMI.
Oh, wow.
And there's another one, and I always forget the name. And we are the only men's organization that has actual data to prove what we're doing works.
Oh, I love.
But I found him through the radio show. I had been going to therapy, just finished, a big group session. It was an 8-week course, and they had Joe on the show telling the story. And immediately I hung up. I called my therapist, Emily. I says, did you hear that episode? Because she knows Frankie and Jess really well. And she's like, I haven't listened to it. I'm like, we got to listen to Joe. And so she listened. I'm like, I'm going to go to the group. And this happened on Tuesday. I'm like, I looked online. The next group was Thursday that I could make. I went that Thursday night. Didn't really know what to expect, what to do. I was 40 minutes early because I was so nervous. I wandered around the campus of where it was. And that was the very first time that I was ever felt safe to talk to people about what I was struggling with, other than my therapist and Hillary. And I broke down and told those men in that group that night everything. And I was surrounded by nothing but just love that night, where I just felt safe.
Yeah.
And me and Joe was the leader of that group that night, just by chance. He usually wasn't there. He has another guy lead that group, but that guy was sick. And so Joe was there, and we instantly connected. And I then started going to groups on, regular basis. With 3 weeks, he's like, hey, do you want to lead all our activities? Okay, sure. And so I started putting activities together, social events, so we can get out and do stuff.
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, do you want to lead a group? We're going to open the Pleasant Grove group. It's 5 minutes from your house. Absolutely. And so now I do that and help with. So, I mean, we talk to Joe every day. I mean, we always. And so now, just so you're aware, coming out in 2 weeks, but we now have the I Love You Bro hour that we're sponsoring on this podcast.
Oh, fun.
It's going to come out once a month. It's the last Sunday of every month is when it comes out. And it is focused on what we do in the groups. It's focused on the project. It's kind of an educational piece to let people know what we're doing. I have leaders of the groups come in and talk. We're going to have some of the men that have had just huge experiences and growth through coming. And so we're going to share their stories as we do once a month, as we're sponsoring that part of it.
Sharing this.
And it's just wonderful. Like I said, that first episode comes out not next Sunday, but the following. It's the last Sunday of every month. And we're excited to be able to give back to the I Love You Bro project through that.
Yes.
Because Joe doesn't have time, but we need to get more messages out. We need to talk about it more. He's out doing everything he can. And this is one way that I felt that we could help on top of what else we're doing.
Yeah.
But I love it. And I'm super excited because I get to bring these guys in here to the Pickle Jar Studio, as we call it, just have conversations with them that talk about how the group has changed their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is hopefully going to benefit other men, hopefully benefit the wives of those men who are listening, so that if they have a husband that's struggling, they can hear what we're talking about here and say, guess what? You're going to go. And I know that works because me and Hillary went to dinner with one of the guys from our group, and his wife came up to me afterwards and says, thank you for what you have done for my husband.
It's wonderful.
And so it's working.
It's working.
We're connecting. We're helping. I mean, we had over 3,000 men come through the group last year.
That's incredible.
And we're just getting started.
Yeah.
It's only been around 18 months.
Oh my gosh, this is great.
So it's fun.
I'm going to be
It's an
friending
amazing
people
thing.
down. Is it just here in Utah County?
So no, we have a group Salt Lake on Monday night.
Okay.
We have a Tuesday group in West Jordan.
Okay.
We have a Wednesday group in North Provo. We have a Thursday group in Pleasant Grove and a Thursday group in South Provo. Within the next month, we will be having a Tuesday group in Lehigh. We're adding that one. We're adding a Spanish-speaking only group within the next 90 days where we have the space and everything already set up. We're adding a Layton group within the next 6 months that will be on Hill Air Force Base. That will be part of that. We've partnered with them. We will have a St. George group by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And we will have a South Utah County group by the end of the year as well. So, I mean, we grew from one group when Joe started it 18 months ago to 5 at the start of this year. And we're going to double that this year is our goal.
Yes, I'm here. I am here for it. I'm excited.
Thank you so much. This is
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. And
Yeah.
thank you for being so wonderful to my friend. Seriously, thank
She's
you.
wonderful.
He's a
to me.
good man.
Thank you for being wonderful to my new friend.
Everybody, I really hope you've enjoyed this. Again, if you want to get in touch with Addie Sash, let us know. Email us. We'll put her caddy stuff on there for you. But if you want some Reiki service or something, get in touch with us directly, and we'll hook you guys up. Again, please share this. If any of this was helpful to anybody, share it with somebody you know. Share it with somebody you know is struggling. Share it with your friends and family. Again, we can't do it without you guys. The more subscribers we get, the bigger this is. Let's change the world one person at a time just by helping and being more human. So don't forget, we love every one of you. Thank you for all of your support, and we will see you next episode.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, guys.